Grayling toiled up the snow-covered slope towards a ridge that bit into the sky like a row of snaggling teeth. He set each paw down carefully to avoid breaking through the frozen surface and sinking into the powdery drifts underneath. Light flakes were falling, dappling his dark gray pelt. He was so cold that he couldn't feel his pads anymore, and his belly yowled with hunger. I can't remember the last time I felt warm or full-fed. In the last sunny season, he had still been a kid, playing with his littermate Clear Sky around the edge of the pool outside the cave. Now it seemed like a lifetime ago. Grayling only had the vaguest memories of green leaves on the stubby mountain trees and the sunshine bathing the rocks. Pausing to taste the air for prey, he gazed across the snow-bound mountains, peak after peak, stretching away into the distance. The heavy gray sky overhead promised yet more snow to come. But the air carried no scent of his quarry, and Grayling plodded on. Clear Sky appeared from behind an outcrop of rock, his pale gray fur barely visible against the snow. His jaws were empty, and as he spotted Grayling, he shook his head. "Not a sniff of prey anywhere," he called. "Why don't we—" A raucous cry from above cut off his words. A shadow flashed over Grayling. Looking up, he saw a hawk swoop low across the slope, its talons hooked and cruel. As the hawk passed, Clear Sky leaped high into the air, his forepaws outstretched. His claws snagged the bird's feathers, and he fell back, dragging it from the sky. It let out another harsh cry as it landed on the snow in a flurry of beating wings. Grayling charged up the slope, his paws throwing up a fine spray of snow. Reaching his brother, he planted both forepaws on one thrashing wing. The hawk glared at him with hatred in its yellow eyes, and Grayling had to duck to avoid its slashing talons. Clear Sky thrust his head forward and sank his teeth into the hawk's neck. It jerked once and went limp, its gaze growing instantly dull as blood seeped from its wounds and stained the snow. Panting, Grayling looked at his brother. "That was a great catch!" he exclaimed, warm triumph flooding through him. Clear Sky shook his head. "But look how scrawny it is. There's nothing in these mountains fit to eat, and won't be until the snow clears." He crouched beside his prey, ready to take the first bite. Grayling settled next to him, his jaws flooding as he thought of sinking his teeth into the hawk. But then he remembered the starving cats back in the cave, squabbling over scraps. "We should take this prey back to the others," he meowed. "They need it to give them strength for their hunting." "We need strength too," Clear Sky mumbled, tearing away a mouthful of the hawk's flesh. "We'll be fine." Grayling gave him a prod in the side. "We're the best hunters in the tribe. Nothing escapes us when we hunt together. We can catch something else easier than the others can." Clear Sky rolled his eyes as he swallowed the prey. "Why must you always be so unselfish?" he grumbled. "Okay, let's go." Together the two cats dragged the hawk down the slope and over the boulders to the bottom of a narrow gully until they reached the pool where the waterfall roared. Though it wasn't heavy, the bird was awkward to manage. Its flopping wings and claws caught on every hidden rock and buried thorn bush. "We wouldn't have to do this if you'd let us eat it," Clear Sky muttered as he struggled to maneuver the hawk along the path that led behind the waterfall. "I hope the others appreciate this." Clear Sky grumbles, Grayling thought, but he knows this is the right thing to do. Yowls of surprise greeted the brothers when they returned to the cave. Several cats ran to meet them, gathering round to gaze at the prey. "It's huge!" Turtletail exclaimed, her green eyes shining, as she bounded up to Grayling. "I can't believe he brought it back for us." Grayling dipped his head, feeling slightly embarrassed at her enthusiasm. "It won't feed every cat," he mewed. Shattered-Iced, a gray and white tom, shouldered his way to the front of the crowd. "Which cats are going out to hunt?" he asked. "They should be the first ones to eat." Murmurs came from among the assembled cats, broken by a shrill wail. "But I'm hungry! Why can't I have some? I could go out and hunt." Grayling recognized the voice as being his younger brother Jagged Peaks. Their mother, Quiet Rain, patted up and gently nudged her kit back towards the sleeping hollows. "You're too young to hunt," she murmured, "and if the older cats don't eat, there'll be no prey for any cat." "Not fair," Jagged Peak muttered as his mother guided him away. Meanwhile, the hunters, including Shattered-Ice and Turtletail, lined up beside the body of the hawk. Each of them took one mouthful and stepped back for the next cat to take their turn. By the time they had finished and filed out along the path behind the waterfall, there was very little meat left. Clear Sky watched beside Grayling when they got near and heard a snort. "I still wish we could have eaten it." Privately, Grayling agreed with him, but he knew there was no point in complaining. There isn't enough food. Every cat is weak, hungry, just clinging on until the sun comes back. The pattering of paws sounded behind him. He glanced around to see Brightstream trotting over to Clear Sky. "Is it true that you caught that huge hawk all by yourself?" Clear Sky hesitated, basking in the pretty tabby she-cat's admiration. Grayling gave a meaningful purr. "No," Clear Sky admitted. "Grayling helped." Brightstream gave Grayling a nod, but her gaze immediately returned to clear sky. Grayling took a couple of paces back and left them alone. They look good together. A voice spoke at his shoulder. Grayling turned to see the elder Silverfrost standing beside him. They'll be kits come the warmest moon. Grayling nodded. Any cat with half an eye could see how friendly his brother and Brightstream had become as they stood with their heads together murmuring to each other. More than one litter, maybe, Silverfrost went on, giving Grayling a nudge. That Turtletail is certainly a beautiful cat. Hot embarrassment floated through Grayling from ears to tail tip. He had no idea what to say, and was grateful when he saw Stoneteller approaching them. She took a winding path among her cats, pausing to talk to each one. Though Stoneteller's paws were unsteady because of her great age, Grayling could see the depth of experience in her green gaze and the care she felt for every one of her tribe. There's still a bit of the hawk left, Grayling heard her murmur to Snowhair, who was stretched out in one of the sleeping hollows, washing her belly. You should eat something. Snowhair paused in her tongue strokes. I'm leaving the food for the young ones, she replied. They need their strength for hunting. Stoneteller bent her head and touched the elder's ear with her nose. You've earned your food many times over. Perhaps the mountains have fed us for long enough. It was Lionsroar who had spoken from where he sat, a tail length away. Stoneteller gave him a swift glance, full of meaning. What's that all about? Grayling asked himself. His thoughts were interrupted by Quiet Rain, who came to sit beside him. Have you eaten anything? She asked. All we ever talk about is food, or the lack of it. Trying to curb his impatience, Grayling replied, I'll have something before I go out again. To his relief, his mother didn't insist. You did very well to catch that hawk, she meowed. It wasn't only me, Grayling told her. Clear Sky made this amazing leap to bring it down. You both did well, Quiet Rain purred. She turned to look at her young kits, who were scuffling together close by. I hope that Jagged Peak and Fluttering Bird will be just as skillful when they are old enough to hunt. At that moment, Jagged Peak swept his sister's paws out from underneath her. Fluttering Bird let out a wail as she fell over, hitting her head on a rock. Instead of getting up again, she lay still, whimpering. You're such a silly kit, Jagged Peak exclaimed. As Quiet Rain patted over to give her daughter a comforting lick, Grayling noticed how small and fragile Fluttering Bird looked. Her head seemed too big for her body, and when she scrambled to her paws again, her legs wobbled. Jagged Peak, on the other hand, was strong and well-muscled, his gray tabby fur thick and healthy. While Quiet Rain took care of his sister, Jagged Peak scampered to Grayling. Tell me about the hawk, he demanded. How did you catch it? I bet I could catch one if I was allowed out of this stupid cave. Grayling purred excitedly. You should have seen Clear Sky's leap. A loud yell cut off Grayling's story. Let all cats be silent. Stoneteller will speak. The cat who had made the announcement was Shaded Moss, a black and white Tom who was one of the strongest and most respected cats of the tribe. He stood in a boulder at the far end of the cavern with Stoneteller beside him. The old cat looked even more fragile next to his powerful figure. As he wriggled his way towards the front of the crowd gathered around the boulder, Grayling heard murmurs of curiosity from the others. Maybe Stoneteller is going to appoint Shaded Moss as her replacement, Silverfrost suggested. It's time she appointed some cat, Snowhair agreed. It's what we've all been expecting for moons. Grayling found himself a place to sit next to Clear Sky and Brightstream, and looked up at Stoneteller and Shaded Moss. Stoneteller rose to her paws and let her gaze travel over her tribe until the murmuring died away into silence. I am grateful to all of you for working so hard to survive here, she began, her voice so faint that it could scarcely be heard above the sound of the waterfall. I am proud to be your healer, but I have to accept that there are things even I cannot put right. Lack of space and lack of food are beyond my control. It's not your fault, Silverfrost called out. Don't give up. Stoneteller dipped her head in acknowledgement of the elder's support. Our home cannot support us all, she continued, but there is another place for some of us, full of sunlight and warmth and prey for all seasons. I have seen it, in my dreams. Utter silence greeted her announcement. Grayling couldn't make sense of what the healer had just said. Dreams? What's the point of that? I dreamed I killed a huge eagle and I ate it all myself, but I was still hungry when I woke up. He noticed that Lionsroar sat bolt upright as Stoneteller spoke and was staring at her, his eyes wide with astonishment. I believe in my heart that the other place is waiting for those of you who are brave enough to make the journey, Stoneteller went on. Shaded Moss will lead you there, with my blessing. The old white cat glanced once more around her tribe, her gaze full of sadness and pain. Then she slid down from the top of the boulder and vanished into the tunnel at the back of the cave, which led to her own den. A flood of shocked speculation passed to the rest of the cats. After a couple of heartbeats, Shaded Moss stepped forward and raised his tail for silence. This has been my home all my life, he began when he could make himself heard. His voice was solemn. I always expected to die here, but if Stoneteller believes that some of us must leave to find the place of her dream, Then I will go, and do my best to keep you safe. Dapple Pelt sprang to her paws, her golden eyes shining. I'll go. So will I, Tall Shadow added, her sleek black figure tense with excitement. Are you flea-brained? Twisted Branch, a scraggy brown Tom, stared incredulously at the two she-cats. Wandering off with no idea where you're heading? Goring remained silent, but he couldn't help agreeing with Twisted Branch. The mountains were his home. He knew every rock, every bush, every trickling stream. It would tear my heart in two if I had to leave just because Stoneteller had a dream. Turning to Clear Sky, he was amazed to see excitement gleaming in his brother's eyes. You're not seriously considering this? He asked. Why not? Clear Sky demanded in return. This could be the answer to all our problems. What's the point of struggling to feed every mouth if there's an alternative? His whiskers quivered eagerly. It will be an adventure, he called to Shaded Moss. I'll go. Glancing at Brightstream, he added, You'll come too, won't you? Brightstream leaned closer to Clear Sky. I don't know. Would you really go without me? Before Clear Sky could reply, little Jagged Peak wormed his way forward between his two older brothers, followed by Fluttering Bird. I want to go, he announced loudly. Fluttering Bird nodded enthusiastically. Me too, she squeaked. Quiet Rain followed them and drew both kits closer to her with a sweep of her tail. Certainly not, she meowed. You two are staying right here. You could come with us, Jagged Peak suggested. His mother shook her head. This is my home, she said. We've survived before. When the warm season returns, we'll have enough to eat. Goring dipped his head in agreement. How can I forget what Quiet Rain told me when I was a kid? This place was promised to us by a cat who led us here from a faraway lake. How can we think of leaving? Shaded Moss's powerful voice rose up again over the clamor. No cat needs to decide yet, he announced. Give some thought to what you want to do. The half moon is just past. I will leave at the next full moon along with any. He broke off, his gaze fixed on the far end of the cave. Turning his head, Goring saw the hunting party making their way inside. Their pelts were clouded with snow, and their heads drooped. Not one was carrying prey. We're sorry, Shattered Ice called out. The snow was heavier than ever, and there wasn't a single. We're leaving, some cat yowled from the crowd around Shady Moss. The hunting party stood still for a moment, glancing at one another in confusion and dismay. Then they pelted down the length of the cavern to listen as their trimates explained what Stoneteller had told them, and what Shaded Moss intended to do. Turtletail made her way to where Greymane was sitting and plopped down beside him, beginning to clean the melting snow from her pelt. Isn't this great? She asked between licks. A warm place where there's plenty of prey just waiting for us. Are you going, Greymane? I am, Clear responded before Greymane could answer, and so is Brightstream. The young she-cat gave him an uncertain look, but Clear Sky didn't notice. It'll be a hard journey, but I think it'll be worth it. It will be wonderful, Turtletail blinked happily. Come on, Greywing, how about it? Greywing couldn't give her the answer she wanted. As he looked around the cave at the cats he had known all his life, he couldn't imagine abandoning them for a place that might only exist in Stoneteller's dreams.